Hey everybody, it's Robin and welcome to the Robin's Nest. Today on my channel we're keeping it fun and festive and absolutely adorable with this Christmas themed Baby Yoda cake. Because who needs elf on a shelf when you can have a baby Grogu for Christmas? Now I will admit I was a little apprehensive to make this cake. Attaching his ears sort of scares me a little bit, but there are loads of great Baby Yoda cakes out there, so I know it's possible. So we're going to give it a go today. Well, let's get into it. So for today's cake, I baked up two 7 by 11 inch vanilla cake layers, which we're going to use for the chimney. And I've also baked up two 5-inch domed cake layers that I just baked up in a stainless steel bowl. And then we're going to use those for Grogu's head. So the first thing we're going to need to do is take our cake leveler and we're just going to level out our layers. We're going to discard our cake tops and then we can start assembly. Alright, so one more thing before we start to assemble. We're just going to take a serrated knife and we're going to cut these two directly in the center to create 4 square layers. And now we can start to assemble them directly onto our cake board. Alright, so because this cake is several layers tall and it does have a few heavy objects at the top, I wanted to make sure it had a really good support system. So I made myself a nice thick cake drum out of 4 layers of cardboard and I've wrapped it with some gold grease-proof paper. Now to attach my skewer in the center, I've dug out a hole big enough for the skewer, then I added a little tiny drop of hot glue inside and inserted my wooden dowel, so now it's nice and sturdy and that's not going to go anywhere. So the first thing we're going to do is start working on the chimney portion first, and we're going to get those layers filled. Then when we get that part finished, we're going to work on a small neck using some of our cake scraps, and then we're going to attach our head. So the first thing we're going to do is apply a little bit of icing, because we don't want our cake to shift even though we have a support. And then we're just going to stack and fill our layers. Alright, so now that we reached this point, I think to err on the side of caution, I'm also going to add a few supports in this layer and add another cake board, and that should hold up the weight of the head really well. So I'm going to use some little wooden skewers, and we're going to measure these out, cut them down, and get these into place. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Now we do have some carving to do, but before I go any further, I really want to solidify these icing layers so that way when we do our carving, our cake isn't all wobbly. So I'm just going to pop this in the fridge for about ½ hour to 45 minutes, not any longer than that because we don't want to dry our cake out. And when we come back and it's all ready, we're going to do some carving. Okay, so our icing layers have firmed up nicely, and that means it's time to do a little bit of carving. So the first thing we're going to do is trim down all 4 sides of our chimney just to even things out a little bit, and we're going to do that using a large serrated knife. Now once I've finished that and I'm happy with how that looks, we're going to switch over to a smaller serrated knife, and we're going to use this to trim down and carve out baby Grogu's head. Now what I have planned is actually quite a bit smaller than what I have here, so we're going to have to take it down quite a bit, but once I'm happy with how it looks, we're going to grab our buttercream and we're going to give him a crumb coat. And there we go, he's starting to take shape already. You can even see his cute little cheeks. He looks so adorable. Mind you, he does look a little bit like E.T. at this point, but I think once we get him all covered up and we get his ears into place, he's gonna look a lot better. Alright, so for the next part, our crumb coat, we're going to be using a few different tools. So for the chimney, I'm going to be using a small offset spatula to apply our icing, and then I'm going to use a plastic bench scraper to smooth it all out. Now for the head, we're going to use something a little different. We're going to be using a flexible plastic smoother, and this is going to help us apply our icing to a curved base and get that nice and smooth as well. So we're going to start at the bottom and we're going to gradually work our way to the top. We're going to seal in all these crumbs as we go. So we finished our crumb coat and I think he's looking more like himself already. Absolutely adorable. So now we need to get our cake off to the fridge to chill and let it firm up a little bit, because when we come back, we're going to do a second coat of white icing around our chimney, and we're also going to give baby Grogu some little facial features like his brow bone and his cute little nose, so that way when we cover him with fondant later on, all those little features are going to show through, and we're just going to need to accentuate them a little bit with our fondant tools. Alright, so off to the fridge we go. Alright, so our cake is chilled and set, and it's time for our second coat of icing. So I'm going to apply a nice thick layer of buttercream onto our cake, and I'm going to smooth that all out before we move on to the facial features. Okay, so now that we finished attaching our little facial features, we're going to give them a little bit of time to set. So we're going to wait and allow that to crust over a little bit again. And in the meantime, we're going to work on our brick pattern. So I've mixed up a little bit of a brick color here using some red, some brown, and a little bit of orange gel food color. And we're going to roll this out and cut out our little brick shapes. And we're going to start laying our brick pattern on the cake. There we go, our brick pattern is laid and I think it looks great. So the next thing we're going to do is get his face covered up. So we're going to start with a little strip of green around his neck and get that covered up, and then we're going to roll out a nice big piece of green and use that to cover his head. Alright, so his face is almost finished and I think it looks great so far. It just needs some eyes and a little bit of shading, so I think we're going to do those next. And then we're going to do his great big fluffy collar, and then I think we can move on and start working on his ears. Okay, so I finished his face and his collar's all done too, and I love how this cake is turning out. I think he looks so cute. Alright, so it's time to start working on his ears. So we're going to use that same green fondant that we used for his face, and we're also going to use some flower wires too, and I'm going to use multiple ones taped together using flower tape. And I'm also going to use some Tylo powder, I think, too, just to make sure things firm up and dry really fast. So we're going to give those a go and see what we can come up with. His ears worked. I'm so happy. They look so good. I think he looks so cute. What do you guys think? I just love him. Alright, so now it's time to give this guy a Santa hat of his own. Then besides that, it's just a few little finishing touches, some shading, a little bit of snow, and then we're all done and I can show you what he looks like. And ta-da! Here he is, guys. Isn't he absolutely adorable? I am so proud of this cake. It turned out way better than I thought it would, and I think he is so cute. Quite possibly the cutest Jedi I've ever seen. I don't know about you guys. You can let me know what you think down below. Well, that's it for today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, you know what to do. Leave me a big thumbs up and leave me lots of love in the comment section too. And if you haven't done so already and you enjoyed the video, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you receive a notification every time I post a new video. Thanks for watching, guys. Happy holidays!